She came here because we're all...
She came here because we're all what?
Welcome to Screen Crush, I'm Ryan Airy, and this is all the Easter eggs, references, and little things that you might have missed in WandaVision Episode 3. The first two episodes were set in the 1950s and 60s, and this one puts us right in the middle of the 70s. The intro borrows from many popular 70s shows. The repeated titles are from Mary Tyler Moore. The font and title card are inspired by the Brady Bunch. The bike is lifted from Three's Company, and the split screens are from lots of different 70s shows, including Canon and Mary Tyler Moore. The hexagon shapes that open and close the episodes could be a massive clue from the comics. This is the insignia of the villainous organization AIM. They're an offshoot of Hydra from the comics. You may remember they were also in Iron Man 3.
Advanced Idea Mechanics, or AIM for short. Do you get it?
In fact, the henchmen for AIM wear beekeeper suits very much like the one we saw at the end of episode 2. The interior of their home is modeled after the Bradys and the Brady Bunch, and so is this backyard set. This isn't just an homage though. The concept of the Brady Bunch was a family with a lot of kids, and in this episode, Wanda and Vision finally add kids to their family. Also in the opening credits, you can see the gazebo from episode 2 and the glamorous magazine that we saw in episode 1. This, of course, is a play on the magazine Glamour, but that word can also mean a spell or an illusion, just like Wanda has created an illusion around the town of Westview. And did you notice that the model on this magazine cover is wearing a dress very similar to Wanda's costume from the comics? Now, all through the episode, her dominant color is red, an homage to the red energy she shoots in the MCU and her superhero uniform. And also, Vision wears a green and yellow tie, the color of his costume in the comics. Red is also a very important color in this show. It appears in the toaster, the blood on Dottie's hand, the helicopter, and it's the first color we see when reality is colorized. Personally, I think red implies a connection to the real world. And as Wanda lives through this illusion, it is red objects that slowly pull her back toward reality.
Oh, there goes gravity.
Now we also get our first close-up in color look at Agnes's brooch. Now I've pointed out in several videos that she's probably playing the MCU version of Agatha Harkness. In the comics, Agatha is an actual witch from the Salem days who is Wanda's mentor. Now what's interesting is that the brooch seems to show three figures, or maybe three sisters, who could be three witches like Agatha. Now where have I seen three witches before?
Just a bunch of hocus pocus!
No, I'm talking about the Norns from Norse mythology. In Norse mythology, the Norns are the overseers of the destinies of gods and mortals who live inside the 9 realms. And we've actually seen the Norns before, kind of. They give Thor a vision in Age of Ultron, but in the deleted scene, we actually get to hear them speak.
We count the dead, and they are legion.
I don't think this is some random detail. In Age of Ultron, the Norns clarify Thor's vision to show him the Infinity Gauntlet and the Vision possessing the Mind Stone.
I've had a vision. A whirlpool that sucks in all hope of life, and at its center is that.
This doesn't mean that Agnes is one of the Norns, but it could be that as a witch, she is an agent of the Norns. Now, what does that mean? All right, well, let me explain the main theory about what's going on in this show to give this episode some context. Wanda is super powerful. She's shown the abilities of all the Infinity Stones, and her red energy seems like the ether, the Reality Stone. So she's created this pocket reality, a sitcom town called Westview. But at the end of this episode, we see that Westview is actually a real town that Wanda has appeared to have taken over. So we can assume that the people in this town are also real people, and they are being forced to act out Wanda's sitcom fantasy.
Stop it. Stop.
I mean, maybe Wanda's forcing them, or it could be another mystery villain. Now, if Agnes is Agatha Harkness, and if she does have a connection to the Norns, this could explain how she and Wanda actually met. At the end of Endgame, Wanda seems to sense the presence of Vision.
She knows. They both do.
So she wants to bring Vision back. So maybe she sought out the help of a real-life witch, Agatha Harkness. But then something went wrong, and Wanda created this pocket reality instead. Now, I do have several theories about who this hidden villain is, but it was too much to put in one video. So I'm going to go over them in a couple of videos releasing over the weekend. So be sure you subscribe and sign up for alerts so you don't miss those videos. Back to the Easter eggs. Vision makes this joke.
Well, I have nerves of steel, so there goes your theory, Mr.
Another pun about him being part machine. The doctor's name is Nielsen, as in Nielsen Ratings. That's the agency that measures the size of a TV audience.
7 pineapple, 8 honeydew.
They paint the nursery with Simser paint. Now, I'm not sure, but I think this is named after the storyboard artist who worked on WandaVision, Jeremy Simser. Maybe he included his name on a storyboard, and then the production design crew actually made the cans for the show. When Wanda kicks, it feels like butterflies in her stomach, so she brings the butterfly mobile to life.
Oh, did I do that? I didn't need to.
Now this line is actually very important. We've seen Wanda deliberately rewrite this reality.
No.
But this episode shows that she also controls the reality subconsciously, both in her own home and all over town.
Somehow, all the pipes in my ceiling burst at once, and I gotta bail myself out.
Wanda and Vision argue over the names Tommy and Billy. Now these are the names of their twins in the comics. Wanda likes the name Tommy because...
Nice classic all-American name.
In our episode 1 Easter egg video, I theorized that Wanda grew up watching American sitcoms, and this is her idea of a normal American life. So this is the fantasy world that she has created for herself. But Vision wants to name the baby Billy after William Shakespeare, and there's a couple Easter eggs here. In the comics, Vision's son Vin was obsessed with the Shakespeare play The Merchant of Venice. But also, listen to the famous passage he quotes from As You Like It.
Named after William Shakespeare, all the world's a stage, all the men and women merely players.
Taken quite literally, this could mean the people of Westview. They're acting out the part of a sitcom like players on a stage. There are also 2 interesting paintings in their living room. Now let's assume that nothing in this reality is added accidentally or just because it looks pretty. For instance, Twitter user Wizard69 pointed out to me that this painting in the last episode looks like Strucker's castle in Sokovia. This one depicts a butterfly in a field of tall grass. Since Wanda brought butterflies to life earlier, this could be to symbolize the creation of life, spreading pollination and procreation. But butterflies are also a symbol of transformation.
Time to pay the piper, Venture!
Just as Wanda is transforming this town, as she herself is being transformed into a more powerful being. And this dilapidated city could be the capital city of Sokovia that was devastated in Age of Ultron. And this piece is the most fascinating. Red, orange, and green colors, symbolic of Wanda and the Vision, colliding into an X. And you know what that means? This is your mom. You know, I've been pointing out your mom in Easter egg videos for more than a year now, so I've decided to take the next step forward and find your mom in other momentous works of art. That's why I started thatyourmom.com. Built by Squarespace, the sponsor of this week's video. My one major resolution this year was to create a fun educational website, and Squarespace has allowed that dream to come true. It's so easy to use, contained within the browser, no plugins, no updates, no patches, ever. Now I can showcase a variety of media where I found your mom. I'm actually new to building a website, so this is all still pretty raw. You can check back in with me each week and let me know what improvements you think I should make. And actually, you can tweet a suggestion to me through the site, because Squarespace makes it easy to connect your socials to your web page. But Squarespace doesn't help just me. This platform is great for everyone, artists, musicians, business owners, to empower everybody to find your mom. Let's face it, it's 2021, there's no more excuses for not building your own website. Squarespace is offering Screen Crush fans a free trial at squarespace.com/screencrush, and use the code ScreenCrush to get 10% off your first purchase. Or click the link in the description to sign up. Who knows, maybe someday you'll create a website that points out my mom. That's squarespace.com/screencrush and use the code ScreenCrush to get started today with 10% off your first purchase. On to more Easter eggs. In the kitchen, we see Koi Soap, a play on Joy Soap, and we actually saw this soap advertised in the newspaper back in episode 1. So this is showing that Wanda is susceptible to advertising. Remember that for later. This is also the first name of the X-Man Karma, who, like Wanda, is an immigrant with the ability to control minds. And also notice that Wanda is cutting up the pineapple that Agnes delivered in episode 1. So even though decades of TV have passed, it's only actually been a couple days in WandaVision land. Last week, I talked about how the entire town seems to be subliminally willing Wanda and Vision to have children.
For the children.
For the children.
You can even see this in scenes that Wanda and Vision don't even appear in. This newspaper headline talks about 2 fire hydrants being installed, just like Wanda's about to have 2 babies. And you can see 2 baby cherubs here. So I think that whatever entity is controlling Wanda doesn't want her, it wants her children. Let me know your theories down in the comments, but like I said, I'm going to drop mine in a couple videos over the weekend. And the paper here also features an ad for TV sets. A similar ad appeared in episode 1. I think to also subliminally sell Wanda on the idea that TV is good, that this TV world is good. Disney Plus also released 2 vintage posters in the form of TV ads. This one, Made in the Shade, is a reference to Vision's secret identity, Victor Shade. But this one says, a signal so good you'll think you're in a dream. Now that's interesting, because that's what TV actually is. A box of dreams in your living room that lets you live in fantastical realities that you can never possibly live out yourself.
Oh boy, sleep! That's where I'm a Viking!
This is also indicating that maybe Wanda has placed this town in a kind of waking dream. Notice that when Geraldine is ejected, the first thing she does is wake up, and the music playing is Daydream Believer by the Monkees. That song is about a guy who marries the homecoming queen, but he has a hard time making a good living to support her. But he's trying to convince her to stay with him just a little longer, and they'll make the perfect life together. Just like Vision is becoming suspicious of Wanda's universe, and she keeps trying to convince him to stay by rewriting reality.
I think something's wrong here, Wanda. Yes, I know what you mean.
And by the way, we first saw Wanda use the Mind Stone to control the Vision here. Also in this scene, she calls him...
Will the baby be human or synthesoid?
Which is what Vision actually is. He's not an android or a robot, he's a synthetic man. Now, if all of this does turn out to be a dream, it'll be interesting to go back through every episode and to look for all the dream symbolism buried in the background. For instance, what do giraffes mean in a dream, or rabbits? Well, rabbits actually mean procreation, and Wanda gets pregnant at the end of the episode, so I guess that one's kind of obvious. I really should have caught that last week.
You are a stupid, stupid man!
And then also, there's the symbolism of time in the commercials.
Forget the past. This is your future.
Strucker, he'll make time for you.
Consider Hydra Soak.
When you want to get away, but you don't want to go anywhere.
Now this is a parody of the Calgon commercials from the 70s and 80s.
Calgon, take me away!
And this line,
You read my mind.
is a callback to Wanda's telepathic abilities. But all these commercials seem to be tying into a single theme. And please, let me know your thoughts down in the comments, because this is one of the more fascinating aspects of this show. The Stark toaster makes the same sound as a Stark shell, calling back to Wanda's childhood trauma of wondering if an undetonated Stark shell would kill her.
We wait for 2 days for Tony Stark to kill us.
Then there's the Hydra-themed watch named after Baron von Strucker, who gave Wanda her powers. The Hydra theme continues in this episode with the housewife longing for escape and finding it by emerging herself into Hydra.
Hydra Soak. Find the goddess within.
This could imply that Hydra is the entity helping Wanda escape reality by creating this dream world for her. Hydra could also be a double meaning of this headline that looks like it reads, Hydra in town. Now, as for what these commercials could mean, I like the theory that these are actually Wanda's parents. Then the image of her parents is being used to placate her into accepting this world.
Come with me. Escape to a world all your own.
All of the commercials reference time. They feature clocks, countdowns. The Strucker watch makes time for you.
Forget the past. This is your future.
Hydra Soak is a way of stepping outside of time into a dream reality. All of this is telling Wanda to ignore time, focus on the past, focus on right now, and don't think too hard about what's actually happening to you. That's why in episode 2, Wanda is almost pulled out of this fantasy by a clock. Because after all, commercials are a form of mind control, trying to get us to buy things that we don't want or need. So it would make the most sense if these commercials are being used to influence Wanda to maintain this reality. It's also interesting that the mom in this episode has 2 kids. This could also be an indication that this is Wanda's mother and that the kids represent her and Pietro. But like I said, let me know your theories about the commercials down in the comments. What do you think they mean? Are they helping Wanda or controlling her? Now, after the ad break, there's an extended sequence where Wanda is hiding her pregnancy from Geraldine. This is actually an old sitcom trope. Sometimes an actress gets pregnant and the showrunners decide they don't want the character to get pregnant. So they employ numerous tricks to hide the pregnancy from the audience. For instance, I had no idea that Julia Louis-Dreyfus was pregnant when they filmed this scene in Seinfeld. And there's also a long TV tradition of characters going into labor at inconvenient times, usually in elevators. But the best untimely birth of all was this one.
Congratulations. You are fully dilated to 10 centimeters. You may now give birth.
And, just like in the comics, the second baby is a surprise the doctor was not able to detect during the pregnancy. So now let's talk about Geraldine.
Who are you?
The emblem on her neck is the logo of SWORD. That's the government agency that, in the MCU, monitors threats that are, quote, sentient weapons. This is a nice way of saying they are a superhuman watchdog agency, and Geraldine is an agent of SWORD sent here to stop Wanda from creating this reality. She even wears the colors of an old-school SHIELD uniform from the comics. Now, light spoiler alert here, this is common knowledge, Marvel's announced it, but light spoiler. This actually isn't Geraldine, this is Monica Rambeau, the grown-up little girl from Captain Marvel. In the comics, she's a hero named Photon, so I'm wondering if she gains her powers from this whole experience. Notice that when she's ejected, she's crackling with red energy. And then we move into the final act of the episode when things get really, really creepy.
What?
did you say?
It all starts with Dr. Nielsen.
So hard to escape.
Hard to escape because Wanda has trapped everybody here. But here's something interesting. When people are actually around Wanda, it seems like they have no choice but to act like a sitcom character.
I assure you, I don't mean anyone any harm.
I don't believe you.
Even when their spouse is choking to death.
Stop it. Stop it.
Herb trims the hedges so much that he cuts into block, like an NPC that's glitching out. This is like Wanda was controlling him but got distracted by her doctor visit. Then, inside, Geraldine begins to slowly pull Wanda back toward reality.
Oh, there goes gravity.
Wanda remembers that she's a twin and she sings a Sokovian lullaby. Then, Geraldine reminds her about the events of Age of Ultron.
He was killed by Ultron.
You didn't see that coming.
What you say?
Outside, Wanda and Herb are terrified that Geraldine will disrupt this fragile reality that Wanda has created.
Is Geraldine inside with Wanda?
Agnes emphasizes that Geraldine,
No home.
probably because she's an intruder and not actually from Westview. And then Herb drops this line.
She came here because we're all... She came here because we're all what?
Now what was he about to say? We're all trapped? Asleep? In hell? Maybe we're all imaginary? The show's central mystery hinges on this one sentence, so tell me what you think he was going to say down in the comments. And this whole creepy scene plays like the Twilight Zone episode It's a Good Life, where adults are terrified of an all-powerful brat.
Why, Anthony's television is the best television we've ever seen.
Agnes's bicycle is also reminiscent of Mrs. Gulch from The Wizard of Oz, another strong indication that she's actually the witch Agatha Harkness. Now inside, Wanda recognizes the sword logo from the helicopter and the beekeeper suit at the end of episode 2. She immediately knows this marks Geraldine as an intruder and expels her. Now notice that as this happens, the screen expands from the 4:3 aspect ratio of old TV shows into the 16:9 of modern widescreen TVs. This is indicating to us that we've now entered the actual MCU reality. And notice that when she's expelled, the energy looks like a TV tube. There's even enlarged pixels like the show's end credits. And then we get a look at the massive amount of sword agents that we saw monitoring Wanda at the end of episode 1. Well guys, that's all the Easter eggs I found, but if you found any, let me know in the comments below or at me on Twitter. And if it's your first time here, please subscribe. For Screen Crush, I'm Ryan Airy.